Here's my take. When the Democratic Party has been successful, it's often represented an optimistic, forward-looking view of America that embraced the future. Think of Franklin Roosevelt reassuring Americans in the depths of the Depression that they had nothing to fear but fear itself. Or John F. Kennedy's new frontier spirit as America aimed for the moon. The chorus to Bill Clinton's campaign song was, "Don't stop thinking about tomorrow." Barack Obama was always cool, promising a pluralistic new era of hope and change. But somewhere in the last decade, Democrats seem to have lost that sensibility. And I wonder if that's cost them politically. Consider how in this election, it was Donald Trump who was embraced by technologists like Elon Musk and Mark Andreessen. Trump went to a cryptocurrency conference and received a series of standing ovations. He celebrated risk-taking and spoke the language of disruption and radical reform. And perhaps as a result, he saw a huge shift of support from young men, especially Hispanics and Asians. This was the single most significant gain that Trump made demographically, and it is the most portentous for Democrats who have assumed that young people would continue to vote for them in large numbers. Democrats used to own the future-oriented, aspirational vote. They were seen as naturally allied with high technology and youth culture. The triumph of Clinton and Gore represented the ascendance of Atari Democrats who championed high technology and promised to reinvent government. Obama was the overwhelming choice of Silicon Valley. It was Obama who canceled NASA's costly and ineffective Constellation program, opting to give SpaceX and others a shot at doing the job at a fraction of the cost, which they have done. What changed? The left wing of the Democratic Party argues that people like Obama got in bed with business and high tech, embraced right-wing economics, and over time lost the working class vote. The problem with this argument is that the facts point in the opposite direction. As Ezra Klein, one of today's shrewdest observers of economic policy, notes, quote, "Since Bill Clinton, the party's economic policy has become relentlessly more left. Barack Obama was well to Bill Clinton's left. Hillary Clinton ran on an agenda well to Barack Obama's left. Joe Biden ran on an agenda and governed on an agenda to Hillary Clinton's left. And over those decades, the Democratic Party's support among working-class voters has cratered. Bill Clinton won the non-college educated vote by 14 points in 1996. Kamala Harris lost it by 14 points in 2024, a 28-point drop. And yet every time they lose the blue-collar voters, Democrats decide they must go even further left on economic policy. Meanwhile, Trump runs his campaigns on a mixture of some populism, but lots of libertarian policy ideas, appoints billionaires to all important economic posts, and yet won more of the working class vote this year than any Republican in decades. Why? In my view, two reasons. First, voters these days are powerfully influenced by cultural issues like immigration, identity, and the so-called woke agenda. This is also true of the Democratic Party's upper middle class voters who vote for the party that promises to tax them more because they agree with it on social issues. Second, the working class is not overwhelmingly anti-capitalist. When he was running for president, polls often showed that Bernie Sanders' economic ideas, such as Medicare for all, were more popular among college-educated voters rather than working-class ones. Trump's anti-statism appeals to outsiders who feel that the system is corrupt and inefficient. Democrats now say that they need their own Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, except that they had them in Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. Rogan was a Bernie bro. In 2022, Musk said he voted overwhelmingly for Democrats historically, and he only ended up endorsing Trump after his attempted assassination. This is not an endorsement of either Rogan or Musk, who are strange characters and have gone on their own complicated political journeys. But it is a critique of policies that have needlessly alienated many young aspirational voters who identify with the idea of risk-taking, disruption, and new technologies. Politics is a game of addition, and rather than growing their base, the Democrats are subtracting from it while Donald Trump is expanding his fans. If Trump is able to maintain or expand support among young Hispanic and Asian men, and perhaps even bring young black men into the fold, he will have created for Republicans what has so far eluded them, a working MAGA majority coalition. The Democratic Party has become a party of urban, educated, middle and upper middle class voters, allied with minorities and young people. Virtually the only major group with which Kamala Harris gained vote share in the last election was white college-educated voters. And yet the party remains deeply uncomfortable with its new base, still pining for its old working-class roots. And so it turns on business, technologists, risk-seeking young men, who after a while, having begun to notice that the party doesn't like them, are now returning the favor.